Hendrix. Yeah. I woke up like this. Reporting live from the Carter building. I ain't talking about some big money. I ain't talking no big
Are we
money.
good? You ready? So it's gonna be short and sweet. It's not gonna be anything too drastic.
It's all good. I got time.
So first, let me just say that I'm a huge fan of yours.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
geeked
that.
out yesterday.
Why?
You know, I worked at Maryland Athletics for years, so we're not supposed to like do.
You know what's really funny though? All those dudes were my boys.
Exactly.
Like Juan and Steve Blake
And Juan is my fake cousin, and I'll tell you why later. We have the same last name.
Really?
So all through middle school,
You never know. We pretty much related. That's how it works.
Yeah. But all through middle school, people thought he was my cousin. So when they won in 02, he was like, "Oh man, your cousin won." I was like, "Heck yeah!"
Yeah, you might as well claim that.
Exactly. But also, I just love the way you play that dude. So one of the things, I was watching the Breakfast Club interview you did a while back, and just talking about the honesty that you had in that whole thing, the transparency, especially in your book. Just talk about how you kind of use that experience to motivate the youth now.
Life isn't easy, right? And for me, it's funny, like your whole life, I was in these kids' shoes when I was 17, and I didn't even think I was good enough to be seen on that pro level. For me, things happened pretty quickly after my freshman year. I just kind of took that next step, that next leap. And all of a sudden you have a chance to achieve all these damn dreams you've been waiting to do your whole life, right? And I think something that everybody can recognize, like my mom worked multiple jobs when I was younger. My dad was always taking the train early to New York City and then come home late at night. And you watch your parents struggle to a certain degree. And it's like, I want to be able to do things for my family. I want to be able to have that rich and crazy lifestyle that I see on TV and live that. And then when you get a chance, when it happens, it's almost happening at warp speed, and your ego can just get the best of you. And it's funny because people are like, I don't understand how you can do something like that. It's the same way. It's the same way like when you only make an X amount of money per week, and say you make $1,000 for the month, and you want to take that $300 or $400 and spend those on those new J's, right? Like, it's the same kind of lifestyle. It's all relative, right? So it's a lifestyle that's easy to get caught up into all the glitz and the glamour of it, even though you recognize none of it is real. You're lost in it because you've been waiting your whole life to experience this, and then to make a silly mistake and have all of a sudden all that gone, and then have to learn how to walk again, learn how to run again. Shit, that sent me into a deep state of depression that it was really hard to get out of. And I was lucky enough that I was surrounded with people that didn't give a shit about Jay Williams, the money that I had, or what I was able to achieve, but cared about me for the person I was. And those people helped me scrap and claw my way out of it to what I'm doing now. So, like, even now, I think I'm doing really well. I'm always hungry to do more. I'm always ambitious. That will never stop. But it's easy for me to compartmentalize that in what real life is. So for me to help them say, hey, don't lose perspective on what's real. Like what's real, and own what's real in your life, and use that as something that's empowering. Because just because you're going through it and you're at a high level, everybody else is going through the same thing, just on a different level. So to use that to your advantage.
Awesome. Talk about kind of rebuilding those relationships that kind of got broken along the way to you meeting your apex, pretty much. What kind of process was that? Kind of having to humble yourself and apologize, which is Jay Williams, the multi-millionaire contract holder, probably would have been like, whatever, I'll meet somebody else in the future. But having to then kind of retract and say, you know what, I apologize. In hindsight, I realized I was wrong.
And it's really funny. I don't think I had that personality where I was dismissive of people. But once again, I was just moving so fast, I didn't have time to say thank you to everybody, because you're always, what's next? Where do I have to go? Who do I have to meet? Or does this person like me? Do I get a chance to meet this person? Once again, you're caught up in that life, right? And the best medicine for me was where I had to confront my demons. I had to confront my addiction issues, because I had, dislocated my knee, so I got, addicted to Oxycontin for a while, which was painful, and that was a struggle for me to deal with that and confront that face to face, and then to go back and sit down with people that I cared about and be able to have them truly account the things I did, right? And not insert myself and say, well, I was thinking this, or I didn't mean that, but like truly hear them out and be vulnerable to say, wow, I didn't even know I did that, or I didn't know you saw it that way, and maybe this is what I meant, but I understand what you're talking about. and confronting it and apologizing for it. But after you do something like that, after you, I guess, by Drake's song, like after you right your wrongs, it's uplifting, because almost in a way you start from ground zero and you get a chance to rebuild that relationship, and then you get a chance to say, okay, this is how I acted in the past, but this is how I need to act in the future to be the person, the individual that I want to be.
Now talk about Duke and that entire experience.
That's
right?
a long story. I don't know if we got enough time for that.
No, not even that, but just the coach, right, and the relationship that you have with such an all-time great. And not even just from like a basketball perspective, just talk about in terms of life and all the lessons that you've learned from him just about life.
The relationship I have with Coach K is a real relationship that a son has with a father. Not everything's glitz and glamour, not everything's always smiles. We're confronted with some difficulties because I work in this space. It's my job to be objective in this space. I know where I came from, I know who I played for, but also the intangibles that I learned from there is to be the best version of me and to do the job at the best degree I can. And I think I've been confronted with some situations where I'm forced to tell the story the way I see it, and that may not fit suit with that brand and where that brand wants to go. And that's a challenge. I love him immensely. He is an incredible individual. He's a guy that gets you to look outside of yourself. He's a guy that forces you to look at yourself and who you really are. And it's been a process for me too, because I got involved in this media game at a young age. And my formative years, you're still trying to find out who the hell I am, right? Yet alone who I portray myself to be to the public. So he's still somebody that serves that moral compass in my life to this point. It's been fascinating to watch how he's had to handle this year. I think this has been a very difficult year for him with Grayson Allen and with the injuries his team has sustained, with his own injuries with his back. But the thing I know about Coach K is that dude is a fighter. And almost in a way, he goes back to the drawing board and he'll kind of redo the blueprint and then make that new blueprint applicable to the next team and how he helps that next team grow. And those are things that I've taken on in my life. And I would not be in the position I am today without having a guy like Coach K be at the helm of my board. And I try to tell kids all the time, yo, who's on your board? Like, what are you talking about? Like, all these kids tonight, who's on your board? Well, what do you mean, what's a board? Dude, like, you're your own CEO. Like, so for all these 16, 17-year-old kids, like, they need to stop looking at themselves as kids. Like, you're going to be a professional tomorrow. Like, don't wait 2 or 3 years now to think you're going to be a pro. Because there's pro money where you're going to, and we're going to be talking about you and criticizing you and scrutinize you like you are a pro. So when you're on Snapchat doing something idiotic, or when you're on Insta Story doing something stupid, think about, hey, that's a representation of my brand to the world.
Definitely.
So who am I portraying myself to be? And who are you surrounding yourself with to help you make those decisions you need to make in your best interest for tomorrow? Who's on your board? Companies have boards. Who's on your company? Who's on Michael Porter Jr.'s board? Who's on Colin Sexton's board? You're a business now, man. Welcome to the game.
Wow. That's definitely a message that they all need to hear. Talk about the fact that you've been able to have success at a college, high school, college, NBA, now broadcasting world. Yeah. Talk about the fact that even though one thing, I always say it like, one setback is a setup for a comeback, right?
Exactly.
So the injury that you sustained on that bike accident was a setback, and then now you're one of the best in the game at what you do right now. Talk about that. Did you see that happening before? Was this like your end game?
I wish I did see that happen before. I wouldn't have tried to commit suicide twice.
Thank God you didn't succeed.
I'm glad I didn't succeed as either. I think it's a divine plan, and I think it's something way out of my control that I can't even fathom. I pray and I have faith in that entity every single day. I think my thing is, though, that it's funny with our culture, our society, right? That when I was younger, I used to have this identity crisis where, I went to an all-Catholic school, and yet the area I grew up was predominantly black and Latin. And when I would go to my school, I would dress the way I dressed in my neighborhood, and all the Caucasian kids would say, I'm so hood, I'm so ghetto, right? And then when I would go back to my neighborhood and I would be on the corner with my boys hanging out talking, and maybe my dad worked for Amex and something happened on the stock market, or my mom would talk to me something about in the educational system or politically what was occurring, and I would mention that. They're like, "Yo, come on, you're being a white boy. You're Uncle Tom. You're a sellout." And I think that's the most empowering aspect of my life that I have. Is like, yo, like I do want to be smart. And I can be socially relevant, and I can have swag, and I can listen to Meek Mill, I can listen to Travis Scott, I can recite lyrics from Drake and his new album, More Life, and I can also have a conversation about things happening politically right now. I can have a conversation about things happening socially right now. Why am I limiting myself to being one thing? And for me, I want to help these kids understand that, when you're becoming a business, don't limit yourself to just being basketball. Right? Like, use your platform to be to leverage a bigger brand. Like, create things, like be involved, have different interests, find things interesting, blow people's minds away when they want to come at you and say, "Oh, let's discuss what happened last night, in the Eastern Conference." And you say, "Did you see what happened last night politically over in Russia with Putin?" And they're like, "What? You know about?" Yeah, I'm diversified. I'm a more expanded individual.
Bigger portfolio than you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that I've been blessed to have with my upbringing that I want other kids to have too. Because knowledge is power. Knowledge takes you to a way different level that people don't fathom athletes being smart anymore. They don't.
Just put the ball in the hoop.
Exactly. Just do what you do. Like, oh, I'm going to do what I'm going to do on a level you can't even believe.
So empowering. I'm sorry. My mind's blown.
No, it's all good.
To have a conversation with someone that you looked up from a sports aspect and you kind of them have the same kind of ideas that you have is mind-blowing.
Well, look, what you're doing is you're changing the game too. I commend you. No, and look, you came over. We randomly just met. But I don't know. You got something cool about you. I respect that. You keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I'll give you my email whenever you need me.
I'll give you my business card as well.
You hit me up. I would love to do anything. Anything that you do, I'll be on board with.
Thank you.
What's up, y'all? This is Jay Williams from ESPN. Shout out to East 95th Street, Jahida Dixon. She is the one. Check her out.